Alright guys, hi, Eric here at Redmans Performance. Today what I'm going to do is go over how we press rods on. And so these are what we call a press fit rod. What a press fit rod is, has a interference fit. Some rods have a pin bushing in them. This particular rod is put in with a press fit, so it has a resistance factor, usually about a 1/1000, 2/1000 constricted hole. And the way that we put the pin into the rod is we heat the rod up, and by heating the rod up, it allows the rod to expand. When the rod expands, then we're able to push the pin through the piston, and at that point in time the piston will get centered, or the rod will get centered into the piston, and then when the rod contracts back down, it holds back in there with a press fit. So at that point in time, if you were to take it to the press and try to press the rod back off the piston, it would take somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2.5 to 3 tons of pressure to push it back off. So somewhere around 5,500 to 6,500 pounds of pressure to relieve that piston pin from the piston and the wrist pin there. So our rod's almost heated up inside the machine. It's a Conn rod heater. Let's take a look here. You guys can see what's happening inside here. Let's see if I get you focused in. There you go. You can see how hot it is inside there. Now what we'll do is we'll change the view. I think we've got 20 or 30 seconds left here on the timer. Actually, we're ready to go now. Let me get you guys moved over here, and I will show you guys how this works. So what I do is I get a rag, because the rod's sometimes hot, not normally, but sometimes it's a little bit on the hot side. We'll pull the pin back out here, and it just pushes in there. Literally that simple. I've got the wrist pin here where it sets even with both sides of the piston, and then we clock the rod inside the piston here so it centers up properly when it's inside the engine. After just a few seconds there, you'll see now the rod is tight on there, and it will not move any longer. So let's set that one out of the side, and we'll run through one more here. You guys get an idea. Now, I see some guys doing this with a torch, and it's possible to do with a torch. The problem with doing it with a torch is sometimes you're not going to be able to get this pin pushed in there far enough. And if you don't get this pin pushed in there far enough, the problem with that is if you go try to put this in the press and try to relieve it, what's going to happen is either you're going to egg shape the piston, and or you're going to break the piston, and now you got one heck of a problem going on. So it's better just to try to do them with some sort of controlled heat, and or take them to the machine shop is what I would advise to do, but not everybody wants to take something to the machine shop. So that's how you push a wrist pin in there the proper way. Let's see if I can back you guys back out. All right, so anyway, that's kind of a short and sweet little video there of how you push a wrist pin inside a piston. They're press fitted. Here's the one that we did first. Whoop, booger's a little bit on the hot side, but you can kind of see now we can flop back and forth side to side. Now, if we were to push that in there with a press, what we would have is we'd have a tight spot inside that wrist pin, and then that would cause a double click inside the engine. Some guys, you'll hear them say, oh, it's got a wrist pin rattle in it. Well, most of the time the wrist pin rattle is from when the pin is not pushed into the piston properly. So anyway, if you guys liked this video, if it was informative to you, please hit the like and the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Eric at Redmans Performance.